A good title. Let's talk about titles, why they matter, what makes a good, memorable title, and how a writer develops one. We'll begin by looking at a poem by Aaron Witham. Read along with me. I pull the sleeping bags out of a closet filled with winter jackets. Under everything I find it, the aged box. Finally, dragging it onto the bed, I pore through it, my mind full of questions. All these photos, my family. I wonder who these people are. I flipped through looking like, I'm sorry, I flipped through looking for something I need to find, something my heart needs to know. But what is it? Who are these people? I need to know. I need to know. I pull from the box a worn brown photo album. I wiggle my toes with excitement. I touch the captions that some ancestor has written in white pen on black paper, showing up like stars in a dark night. My eyes devour the faces like images from black and white TV, pictures of houses and yards too, and faces, more faces, all strangers, yellowed newspaper clippings of relatives, every one of them smiling. All these things I find: postcards, baby books, letters, report cards, maps, photographs, treasure to me. But I want to take it all in at once, but I can't. So one piece of history at a time, I pick up the past. Sorry, I'm going to jump out of there. I pick up the past and live it. The first title or working title of this poem was The Box in the Closet. After Erin revised and edited this poem and submitted it for teacher editing, she was still calling it The Box in the Closet. Now, that title does fit. The poem is, in fact, about a box of memorabilia Erin found in a closet under her house. In her house, I'm sorry. But does it do for a poem what a good title should? Is it memorable? Is it distinct? Does it intrigue a reader? Does it whet our appetites for writing to come? And is it deliberate? Or is it a handy label that stuck? After a teacher conference that nudged her to brainstorm possibilities for titles that both fit and invited, Erin came up with this list of possibilities. So we're going to take a look at that as we move to the next slide. So she wrote titles on a piece of paper, and then she just started listing these possible titles. Strangers, Faces, Finding the Past, Questions, Faded Past, Heart's Quest, Picking Up the Past, Treasure Hunt, and Just Wondering. You can see how she pushed her thinking away from a handy label and toward a crafted and meaningful title. Erin stopped shortly after she reached Treasure Hunt, when she recognized that this title did what she intended. As a reader of poetry, what do you think of the difference between the box in the closet and the treasure hunt? Obviously, treasure hunt gives credit to you, the reader, being able to draw meaning from the title and not needing just a label or a boring title like the box in the closet. Obviously, the treasure hunt is way more inviting. It creates a little bit of mystery. It kind of makes you want to read on to find out what the treasure is. Here's another piece of student writing that was made stronger through a revised title. In this poem, a 7th grader, Hallie Hertz, her initial title was The Shoe Flinging Game. Now, if you read through this is about a friendship that kind of falls apart because the girls grow apart. And it talks about all the activities that they used to do together. And one of those activities was this game they played called the shoe flinging game. But there's a whole lot more here in the poem than just the shoe flinging game. So I'm going to go ahead and read this poem to you, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the information. Do you remember? We were practically triplets, so close that the only way to separate us would be a long and painful surgery. Now, when you see me, you don't even glance my way. You and your friends with your tiny, stylish bikinis make me feel childish and ashamed of my green-flowered suit. I stay underwater so you won't laugh at me. Don't you remember the shoe flinging game? on the swings when we hit our bare feet from the passing recess monitor? I do. Remember when we drew portraits of each other in third grade? Mine with a starry background, yours sunny, Siobhan's rainy, our crayon faces, mismatched and lopsided, looked nothing like our real ones. But you must remember, after our separation, the only words you said to me that whole year were, "I like your shirt." We were practically triplets. So close. Don't you remember? This is a 7-stanza poem that describes from various angles the friendship of a threesome and its ending. The shoe-flinging game they played appears in just one stanza, and its function seems to be to illustrate the kinds of adventures that the former friends enjoyed. Here is what Hallie came up with after a teacher conference. And you can see that she decided on practically triplets. That was her last thing that she added on her list when she was brainstorming. You can see she started out with "Don't you remember?" Surgery, separation, remember, you don't even look, triplets, no more triplets, painful surgery, please remember, drawing portraits, rain, sun, stars, childish, third grade, no more third grade, no more triplets, and then practically triplets. So you can kind of see her thought process as she evolved through this list. Now let's turn to the following list on page 16 in your ELA reference folder. And don't worry about it if you don't have your ELA reference folder with you. This is a list of notes about all the things that a good title needs to be and should do for a piece of writing. So I just kind of want to review that with you. And I want you to keep this in mind, but also know that this list of notes is in your ELA reference folder so that when you do actually start writing and you find yourself grasping for a good title, you can always go back here and see the qualities that we talked about in this lesson. So a good title should fit the whole piece of writing. It isn't a label or description. For example, when I went skiing for the first time, that's just a label. That's just a description about what the piece is about. But a title should be crafted. It should attract a reader's attention, even create a bit of mystery. It should be grounded in the piece. Obviously, it shouldn't be about something random that is completely unrelated to the poem. So it should tie back to the poem itself and the intended message. It should give a hint or a taste of the topic or theme. It should be memorable. You know, we write to be read. So nothing that we put on the page should be something that could easily be dismissed by our reader. So we want to make sure that we select good, meaty things that are going to stay with our reader. So making sure that our title is memorable is part of that process. Generally, the title doesn't come first. The author looks back on finished writing for a sense of the focus and so what that emerged during the drafting or revising. The title should be a strong, beautiful combination of words and sounds. It can replace a working title that the writer uses while the piece is in the process. So remember that if you start out with a label or a description, that's totally fine. That's what we call a working title. That's what you start with. But when you're finished, you should have a crafted title, one that you actually put some thought into. Maybe you brainstormed from a list, something that you put thought into, essentially. A good title is often the result of brainstorming, of moving to a fresh piece of paper, removing the mental censors, and writing down as many possibilities as the writer's brain can devise. So, in a nutshell, just don't take your title lightly. You work hard at your writing. You're pouring out your heart and soul into this poem. Make sure that the title is part of that whole piece. So that's really all I have for this lesson. It was just quick and short. I just need you to be mindful of that when we start the drafting process. Obviously, it's totally fine for that to come later. And these notes will be available to you in this video, in the slide presentation, and of course in your ELA reference folder. So reach out if you have any questions or type a chat to me in our classroom message thread. Do whatever's convenient. I love you guys. I hope this wasn't difficult. Hopefully today's been a good day. I will talk to you soon.